Every adventure into the remote wilds of Colombia starts with a trip to Bogota, a short hop to a river town, and a car ride to the hotel to get organized. The 2018 expeditions lasted for 2 weeks in late January. We spent the first week in the southeastern river city of Mitu, which is the most downstream city on the Rio Wapez, situated very close to the border with Brazil. The Rio Wapez is a blackwater river that crosses the border with Brazil, where it is called the Uapezi, and flows into the Rio Negro on its way to the Amazon River. This trip is our first time exploring streams that are a part of the Amazon basin in Colombia. A lot of interesting fish have been coming out of the Mitu area for a few years, so we wanted to go and have a look for ourselves. So we went. Mitu is a medium-sized capital city with a population of about 14,000 people. It is the capital of the department of Wapez and is the most isolated of all the capitals in Colombia. The only way in and out of Mitu is by plane. Even the river can't handle large boat traffic. The team for the Mitu excursion includes Jeremy Bosch, Vin Cuddy, our host Hernando Heel, myself, Ariel Bornstein, and Jeff Cardwell. All seasoned travelers and fish collectors, but each of us with slightly different interests here in Mitu. The city is located right on the Rio Wapez, and in the heart of the city the shoreline has been landscaped into a river walk with stands of large bamboo and mango trees. The hotel is located right across the street from the river walk. We are arriving in early afternoon, and we're hoping to get out and do some fish collecting before it gets too dark. We take some time to check into the hotel, have a quick look around, and take a little bit of time for a nice pacu lunch. Then we grab our collecting gear and head out to see if we can find something. Rental vehicles are not easy to find in small cities that have no roads in or out, so this little van is the best we can come up with. And I am not even sure what kind of van it is, but the emblem looks like a Star Trek emblem, so we nicknamed the van the Enterprise. It is not completely accurate to say that there are no roads out of town. It is more accurate to say that the roads do not go anywhere further than the first impassable feature on the road. The road we went out of town on this afternoon dead ends at this bridge over a cano, not too far from where the stream joins the Wapez. We tried to time our trip to arrive a few weeks into the dry season, but it has been raining for more than a week here, so all the tributaries and the Rio Wapez itself are pretty high. This water level makes it hard to find fish. As high as the water is, there is still plenty of shoreline to get to. During the height of the rainy season, this path is under 10 feet of water, or more, so it could be worse.
A couple of another jumping. Personata?
Well, let's get the small scene. Oh, Jeremy, you're going to have to get a lot wetter than that.
I know. Well, I didn't bring my, I thought we were just going to be swamping it.
Oh.
My hiking. I have my aquatic shoes back at the hotel.
Oh.
I can take off shoes. You know?
Yes.
Are you videoing me right now?
I am, yeah. As if to emphasize the point that the rainy season is still upon us, while we were collecting fish, it started to rain, and rain, and rain some more. But who cares? Don't come to South America to collect fish if you're not willing to get wet. We did decide to leave that location by the bridge and head back towards town. We're a little afraid the roads might become impassable. While we were driving, we passed this flooded field and thought that we might be able to find some killifish. No such luck, but we certainly found a lot of interesting plants.
Bunch of tadpoles.
Oh, tadpoles would be cool, because of course that's illegal as hell. Yeah.
What?
Oh, tree frog, tadpoles. Frogs. I wonder how big that nymphia gets. So look at all the tonina.
What's that? Another aquatic?
Yeah, it's a nice tonina.
That looks a little bit like the stuff I found in Vietnam.
It's all growing here.
Dissolved.
Wow, tons and tons of it. That's an interesting leaf shape for that lily. Not much to show for a couple hours of exploration, but at least we got the nets wet, as well as ourselves, so now we've got that behind us and we can get down to real collecting tomorrow. The trip is just beginning. Time to get dry, get a meal, and a good night's sleep. Tomorrow will be a full day.
Breakfast is sizzling and I can't get a phone.
Pros and cons of staying in a full-service hotel. Good food is definitely a good thing, but meals are served on the hotel schedule. Staying for breakfast will eat up at least an hour of daylight.
Really nice thing is really around there.
All the rain from yesterday afternoon has the river flooded, so instead of using the boats, we're going to use the Enterprise today and drive out toward the Brazilian border. The main road runs southeast out of Mitu and parallels the Rio Wapez. Our goal is to make it out to this section of road that cuts back east to the river. The sky is clear and sunny, there is no rain in the forecast, and the day promises to be hot and humid. Perfect. The first stream we cross looks like a promising spot. The water is very tan and stained, and like all the bodies of water around here, the pH is under 6.0 and there's almost no measurable hardness. Black water is beautiful, but it is also close to sterile and cannot support a lot of animals. Blackwater fish are interesting, but population density is low, and the water here is high. We will look for fish, but they will not be easy to find. There is a cascade of rocks under the bridge that looks promising for plecos, but we did not find any. The rock wall on the sides of the stream was covered with mosses, tonina, and other plants. The nutrient-poor waters of the Mitu area may not be great for lots of fish fauna, but the land and the trees around the streams are teeming with plant life, including lots of bromeliads and orchids. Too bad bringing plants back legally is very hard to do, and bringing them back illegally is not a very good idea. 2 weeks before we got to Mitu, and 2 weeks after we left, this place Jeremy is waiting was at least 12 inches shallower. Timing is everything. The section of the stream above the bridge is shallower, narrower, and faster. The fish are more concentrated there and easier to catch, but there are still not many to find. Here is what we pulled out of this cano. There are a lot of macrobrachium species shrimp in Colombia. Here is a small wolffish, the most common species, Hopleus malabaracus. The black darter tetra, Paciliocharax whitesmani, comes from this area. This is likely a juvenile equidin species, cichlid. And the most common episto from around here, Epistogramma personata. And finally, a Capella species, splash tetra. This first stop is as empty a fish as it is pretty. Time to move on. One of the pitfalls to collecting when there has been rain is that there is good-looking water everywhere. Ditches along roads are usually worth a look, especially if you see some tetras right away. This ditch may have been dry a few weeks ago, but we were lured into giving it a try. On the first full day of collecting, everyone is excited just to find fish. Later in the trip, we will have learned to pass this one by. But sometimes dipping a net in an unlikely spot pays off. After striking out in that rain-swollen ditch, we might have passed this much smaller ditch by. The difference is that this ditch runs into a small stream. This ditch screams rivulous.
Could be roamers. Nice, yeah, we need some of those. Beauty. Whoa.
Almost got away.
Let's get him.
This shallow ditch full of plants held 2 species of killifish, a larger variety with stripes, a smaller killie with an orange body and a bright eye. We also found a female Epistogramma personata and a cool tree frog. The next larger stream we get to is the location of an undescribed Epistogramma species that we targeted for the trip. It is very similar to the common Epistogramma personata that most of the streams around here have, but it has a slightly different head profile and a larger eye. The water here is tannin stained, but it's clear, and I hope to get some underwater video. The most surprising thing about the streams around Mitu is the lack of fish. High water is part of the reason, black water is another factor, but I would still expect to see some bigger tetras or cichlids, something to film. The only fish I have caught on camera so far are these juvenile splash tetras. But the nets did their job, and we did catch some fish at this location. We found a few Hemiloricaria, our first catfish for the trip, a single dwarf pike cichlid, and we found a few of that undescribed Epistogramma, but not very many. The afternoon turned rainy and the roads were getting treacherous, but we decided to push on to hopefully find one more spot to try to salvage the day. Our last stop was at another bridge where we actually saw larger fish swimming, but the water was too deep, too clear, and too full of sticks for Jeff to catch any with the cast net.
Deep there.
Mm-hmm.
Still sinking. Not the snag.
Huh.
Just brought the snag with me. Stickfish?
Up the road, someone has built a pond to raise pacu for food. This place wasn't a total bust, though. The stream between the pond and the main stream had several Epistogramma personata, and the main stream itself had one of the prettiest dwarf pencilfish I have ever seen. From a fish collecting perspective, this was not a great day, but it sure beats shoveling snow back home.
Oh, that's like pleco heaven.
On the way back to Mitu, we cross a larger canoe on a suspicious bridge. At first glance, the water looks too dangerous to collect in, but I grab a net and try anyway, and catch one of the best fish of the trip, an undescribed ancestris pleco with stripes. That unplanned stop for those ancestris put us behind on time, and you really do not want to be on the slippery roads after dark. But we made it back, exhausted and ready to rest. But we were not done yet, not until the fish are taken care of. Tomorrow, we go out on the river.